Today, we are talking about one way to grow your barbecue game and make it a million times better. We're gonna be talking about resting your barbecue in one of these food warmers and how great it makes your barbecue. Let's go. Now, if you're a somewhat serious backyard barbecuer like I am, I'm always looking for ways to make my barbecue game better. After seeing a bunch of videos, doing a bunch of research, and one of the things that shows up over and over is holding your brisket for a long time in a controlled environment, I went and reached out to Weaver, and they sent me this beauty right here. I've used it a couple times and I have my opinions on it, but I'm gonna show you how we use it right now. I'm gonna cook a brisket on the Weber Smoky Mountain. So let's get that brisket started, and then we're gonna get back to this and all the features that it holds. So let's start up by getting our brisket trimmed up. Today we're starting with an 18-pound choice brisket from Costco. This thing is a beast, and there's a ton of trimming that has to be done on here to get this right. So let's just start hacking into it. Get rid of these big hunks of fat. This has been all gouged up. Look at this, it goes all the way through. So we're gonna trim that off. This was a terrible butcher job here. Even here, there's a big gash in here. Try to clean that up some. A lot of this big hard fat on here. Let's get it out of here. This end is super thin. We're gonna just come round that out, get a better shape on here. Let's flip it onto the other side, see what that's looking like. Yeah, still lots and lots of big fat on here. Anything like this, get it out of here. Now normally this is a backyard trim, that's what I'm doing here, but this particular brisket was so heavy with so much hard fat in there, it's gonna end up being a pretty aggressive trim. It's actually looking better than I thought. I thought this was really gonna be a beast of a brisket with the way it was butchered with all that fat on there, but this is actually looking really, really nice, so I'm excited to cook this. Now to get it seasoned up real quick, going to hit it with a quick mustard binder, kosher salt, coarse black pepper, some Lowry seasoned salt. Flip it over, do it to the fat side. Since we're gonna be smoking it meat side down, this is gonna be our presentation side. That's why we do it second. Mustard binder again. Kosher salt. Coarse black pepper. And Lowry's seasoned salt. Brisket's seasoned up. Let's head over to the smoker, get that fired up. Okay, we have a couple of wax cubes in there that we're gonna use to start up this lump charcoal. Put some coals around it. Make sure that gets started up nice. And now we're just gonna let that catch up, get a nice little coal bed in the center, and then get this Weber Smoky Mountain put back together so we can get this brisket on. Wax cubes are burnt down. We have a nice burning fire right in the center there. We don't want it to get too crazy hot. We did throw a couple pieces of oak splits on there, real tiny ones. Those are gonna burn up nice in here. Let's get the top put on so we can get this up to temp. So we're gonna let this come up to temperature right now. Again, we're gonna shoot between 240 to even 300. We are using a deflector plate in this cook, no water pan. We kind of started with what looked like a grizzly piece of brisket. The whole point of this experiment is to cook this brisket and do a super long rest in that warming oven and see how good it comes out. So this is gonna come up and we're gonna get this on the grill and we're just gonna let it ride. We'll be back. The grill is ready. Let's go get this brisket on. I am gonna hit this with a temp probe just to monitor this entire cook. Brisket's on, let's go clean up while this is cooking, and then we're gonna move on over to that Weaver food warmer and talk about all this thing has to offer. It is really cool. Let's go. Brisket's on the grill, rolling along. We're gonna come check on that in a few hours. Next, let's talk about this Weaver food warmer. Once the order was placed, I got it in 3 days, I believe, so that shipment came in quick, which is always a plus. The packaging that was in, I didn't get a great video of it, but it was tightly packed, very safe. There were no issues to the box or any of the contents inside the actual box. Assembly on this was very simple. You only had these 4 screws to put in for the handle and these 4 to put in for the latch, along with the feet. So you had 4 feet, so that's 4 screws, 4 on the door handle and 4 on the door latch. So 12 screws and your assembly was done. It's that easy. The only knock so far is that this came with a film on here which does protect the body of this and the door, but man, that stuff is adhered on there. So it really took a long time to pull off and get it all done. I actually had to take a razor knife to get into the cracks and around some of these screws. So you can tell that it's filmed individually and then put together, because under a lot of these rivets and fasteners, you still have that film, which maybe one day it'll come off, but I think it looks good enough. At this point, if that's the only complaint, that they packaged it too good, you know you're gonna have a great product. So I got some notes here. Bear with me on this. I just wanted to make sure I get you all the pertinent details, at least what I think are pertinent. Because one of the issues I had when looking up these food warmers, I looked at 100 different companies, prices were thousands of dollars, and this one you're able to get just over 300 bucks right now, which is fairly reasonable for a backyard or at home setting. If you do a lot of big cooks, even do some catering or pop-ups, this thing is amazing. Now, one of the biggest concerns I had when buying it is that it does give you measurements and details of the depth of the product, how much you could fit in there, but until you see it in person, you just don't know what you can really fit in there. So I was happy to see, and I'm gonna show you here, when you open this up, it's a simple latch mechanism, opens right up, and you see it has these 4 shelves, but all of these shelves are removable. And inside, you have this little piece, which is for a water tray. Put water in this cup and it keeps humidity in there, which again, for brisket, it helps to slowly keep rendering that fat and getting that meat tender and juicy. Great, great idea here. The heating coil is in the back, and it also has a vent system, so as it's running and heating, it does fluctuate. It goes up and down a little bit, right? So it hovers. You set it to 150, it'll go to 152, down to 148, but keep you in that nice range with that humidity in there. So we took those platforms out, and what I was worried about is because I do some large cooks, so I really wanted to make sure that I could fit full hotel pans in this. And if it didn't fit full hotel pans, it really would not be worth me getting, because then I wouldn't be able to hold briskets or pork butts or ribs or any of that stuff in here. So let me show you how perfectly these fit. You can either slide them right on the angle that they put in there for you, or for this bottom one, put that shelf in there, get that right on there. You could actually fit 4 pans in here. So that's what I normally rest my brisket in. So you could get 4 of those in here, and each of those could hold 2 to 3 briskets. So you're talking anywhere from 8 to 12 briskets you could hold in this thing overnight. 8 to 12 briskets. How awesome is that? As simple as it was to put together, it's that simple to run too. Simply hit the 1 switch that it comes with, it turns on. So right now it's set to 141. You just go ahead and hit the set button and set it to what you want to. Well, let's put it on to 150 just to show you. Hit it again, hold it in for a second. Now it's set to 150 Fahrenheit, and it's just gonna start warming up. This only takes 5 to 10 minutes to warm up, and then you're able to throw your barbecue in here and rest it up. What's nice is this is pretty light. It says it's 40 pounds, but to me it actually feels a little lighter than that. I was able to just carry it out of the house, carry it around, because it is made with a lightweight aluminum, but it does have some insulation in the walls, which helps keep that warmth in there. And this has a bunch of applications you could actually use it for, because this goes from about 100 degrees minimum up to about 100 to 80 degrees max. So this is really only a food warmer. You're not cooking in this, you're just warming, which is great for proofing some breads or dough or anything like that. If you do BBQ pop-ups or any type of catering that you're able to have electricity at, these things are a must, especially with brisket. The key to a good brisket is having a nice long hold, and we're gonna show you that. Let's go check in on this brisket. We've been running it for about 6 hours now, and I wanna show you what it's looking like. Brisket's temping at about 172 degrees internal. It's looking absolutely gorgeous. Now you saw while we were trimming it, there was a large hunk of fat in the middle of that brisket. It's still rendering down a lot, so this brisket's gonna go a little while. But the best part of that is, even though we couldn't get all that fat out of there, giving it a long rest in the hot box is gonna render all that fat that wasn't able to get rendered on the grill and allow you to have awesomely rendered brisket while keeping that flat and point super juicy. So let's shut all this down, and we're gonna come back when it's time to wrap up that brisket, and we'll talk more about how we're gonna handle this. Our internal thermometer is telling us that that's about 195 to 200 right in the flat there. So we're gonna go check, open this up real quick, check for doneness. I think it's time to pull it off and wrap it and let it rest a little while before we put it in the warming oven. I'm gonna take the temp spike out, and I'm gonna put it back in after we wrap it. Those juices are just flowing out of there where we took that spike out at. This brisket's a thing of beauty right now. Brisket's wrapped up. I am gonna put the temp spike back in here, kind of right back in the middle there. I'm gonna go ahead and monitor the temps of the box as it's resting, as well as the meat itself. I'm gonna let this come down a few degrees naturally, not in the hot box. Once this gets to about 160, 150, I'm gonna throw it in there. So we'll be back after we pull it out and it's time to slice. This brisket has been resting about 18 hours, so I'm really excited to cut into this. Let's go pull that brisket out, slice it up, see how we did. Just from picking it up out of the pan, I could feel this thing is jiggly and wobbly. I just think this is gonna be a home run. All right, so let's open this up, slice it up, and see how this brisket did after being held in the Viver food warmer for 18 hours at 150 degrees. Oh, this just feels so soft. You can see that cook, see that jiggle? You know that's gonna be good. This brisket looks and feels amazing. Look at how pillowy this top fat is. I think this is gonna be great. All right, let's slice into it, see how we did. Gonna slice right down the middle, because this is about where the point and flat meet. Just go right in the middle here. That was like a hot knife through butter. Almost zero resistance. I don't want to squeeze it, but for the video, look at how juicy that is. You can see that perfect smoke ring around here, that yellow color from that fat rendering. Oh yeah. So that yellow color shows you that it was a good cook. You got some great rendered fat. Could have trimmed a little bit more off of here. But if you remember at the beginning of this cook that I was worried about this kind of being a beast because of how much fat was in there and how it was kind of hacked up. But this shows you, you can turn anything into a good cook if you cook it right. And part of cooking it right is holding it long. So let's slice into this, see how we did. Again, look at it. You know it's gonna be good when it just flops over like that. This is cooked so nice. Gotta try it, see how it tastes and what that moisture level is. It's amazing, so tender. Cut off a little burnt end action here. Oh yeah, that just looks absolutely gorgeous. That great seam in here from that fat render. I mean, just look at this. Just gorgeous. Cheers. I believe the hype of resting your brisket in a food warmer, it came out absolutely amazing. I've done it a few times now. This was not my first time doing it, and every time has been great. I have a link for this food warmer in the description below with a discount code as well. If you like what we did here, please hit that thumbs up, hit that like, subscribe to the channel, check me out on social media, and we will be talking to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.